My name is Gary White. I'm the founder of High Definition Coaching, and I welcome you to join me in a unifying conversation. You know, today more than ever, we need to be active in unifying conversations. Unity is forged through empathy. It's sustained by selflessness. It's seen through our service to others, and it really begins with the influencers. And that's why we need to be having these conversations. Now let's get started. Hey everyone, Gary White here. I'm an executive director with the John Maxwell team and founder of High Definition Coaching. And thank you for joining me on this first segment of Unifying Conversations. And I've got with me today my friend Lamont Shedrick. Lamont's out in California, and Lamont, today I'm in Tennessee, and I'm just tickled to have you here with us. And Lamont, could you just take just a moment? You and I have known each other for some time. I have great respect for you. Could you take just a few moments and let everyone know a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Gary. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you.
Oh, perfect. First of all, thank you for having me, Gary. I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. Just to give you and the audience a little bit of my background, I am the president of the Lamont Shedrick Group. It's a coaching practice where I come alongside people with visions, whether it's individuals or companies. I help connect themselves and their organization to what they're trying to do. For the past 20 plus years, my background comes from the entertainment industry. I sold some of the largest blockbuster movies all over the country for 20th Century Fox before they got bought out by Disney, like Avatar. Worked on some of the Star Wars. Got a bunch of other movies, and they're all run together. And I still kind of have my hand in a little bit of that. Right now, one of my clients is I handle their chief of acquisition and sales for Fall Line Entertainment. They're based out of Columbus, Georgia. So pretty much, I'm a God-fearing man, a loving man, but that's pretty much where my background comes from, Gary.
That's pretty cool, Lamont. Well, now that I know, I'm between Tennessee and Florida quite a bit. So I'm going to hold you to it. Call me when you're headed to Georgia and we'll meet up and have coffee.
Oh, perfect.
All right. Lamont, I want to ask you this because, there's none of us gets where we are by ourselves. So I want to ask you, who has influenced you the most in your life, and what was that influence?
Wow, that's a great question. I like to say I am the embodiment, I am pretty much who I am for a multitude of people. But if I had to pick one, it has to start with my late father. My father passed away 4 years ago. My father was a man who wasn't raised with his dad, never met his dad. But I'm one of four. I have three other siblings. And my father came from the Deep South during difficult times and migrated to California. Never worked for a company per se, like a 9-to-5. Built his family on commission-based work. So, which, as you know, commission-based could be very challenging. But my dad always taught me to treat people the way you want to be treated. If you don't want something done to you, don't do it to someone else. So I would have to, honor my dad with being the key person that's making me the man that made me the man that I am today.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Doing to others as you'd have them doing to you, right? Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar. Well, Lamont, I want to get right into the meat of things, and these conversations need to take place. Really, I can tend to think from my life experience that maybe other people's life experience has been the same as mine, and I'm learning that that's a pretty naive position. So, Lamont, there's a lot of racial divide going on right now. I would really like to know what your experience has been with racism.
Well, for me, racism, it hit me at different stages. My experience with racism isn't so much right in my face like others have experienced, I never witnessed no one calling me the N-word, none of that. But have I experienced it? Almost definitely. I have experienced it more where it's been camouflaged in the midst of where, as I got older, I started noticing racial profiling for going on in Southern California. When I used to work for Fox, I used to get a brand new company car every year. The top of the line cars, and driving a car that is, the latest and the most modern with all the bells and whistles on it draws attention to you sometimes, especially being African American, depending on the community. I remember driving in Westwood, California, just driving in communities, looking at homes and whatnot, and I got pulled over, and person asked for my license plate and asked, "What am I doing in this community?" And this was like maybe 3:00 in the afternoon, So, and after asking for my ID and all that good stuff, they pulled up and realized it was a company car. Worked for Fox. I worked around the corner, and he let me go. But there was no reason. Just seeing a person of color in a neighborhood, that maybe didn't have a lot of people that looked like me there, kind of brought on different situations. So it wasn't right in my face, but I understood. In many other situations, it's kind of funny. I remember a story. I was on a business trip in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It was a golf tournament. A friend of mine called me last week, and we kind of had a good laugh about it. It was an industry event. It was at this wonderful golf resort, but we wanted to see the town, and we went out and to get familiar with the Coeur d'Alene, and there was a rally going on. It was pretty much, I heard there's a lot of white supremacists that was living there at the time, but you never realize that till you see it. But there was a rally going on, and while we were looking in downtown, and we were like, whoa, she's Italian. She looked at me and go, "I think we need to get back to the room." So we laughed it off, went back to the room, and the next day we played on the golf course. The golf course had this, it was a prestigious golf course. I don't want to mention the name in Coeur d'Alene, but they had a hole on like on the island where you had to take a boat, hit your ball over to, and then you take a boat to go finish it off. But next thing you know, it's a funny thing. Someone riding on the boat kind of rode near a friend of mine who I was in the foursome with, and took a picture of us. He's a man of color as well, and he took off. And this was right after the rally, and we just laughed it off like, what was that all about? So watch we show up in some paper or whatnot. But I honestly, I don't look for it. I treat people, if it's there, racism, I meet racism with love. I really don't, because there's a lot of people that don't look like me have been very helpful to me. So I don't go out looking for it, but I have had experiences, and I just don't acknowledge it.
Yeah. What do you think it is, Lamont? What do you think it is that brings upon people marginalizing other people? I have my ideas, but I really want to hear your perspective.
I mean, it's a variety of things. Sometimes the media could be guilty of it, showing more division than unity. It's like you're constantly being fed that, and people buy into it. And sometimes we're a product of our environment. I'm fortunate because I grew up in the city of Carson. Carson was a melting pot. Many individuals. I grew up next door to Samoans, Filipinos, Japanese, whites, black. It's kind of like when you grow up in an environment like that, you get to know different cultures. And it's a beautiful atmosphere. But when I started working in the movie industry and selling movies across the country, I realized communities are not set up like how I was raised. So when you have maybe predominantly white, predominantly black communities, people tend to associate with themselves. and there's no interaction. So I think if people interacted more, you get more understanding, you get more love between those two, and you realize there's really not much different than things that we share. We have more things in common than not.
Yeah. Lamont, I remember the first time that I met you, we were at a conference together, and you made quite an impression on me. We were listening to Curtis Sliwa speak, and Curtis, the founder of the Guardian Angels. And I just remember this man standing up, and he got the whole room's attention. And he said, I don't have a lot, but I want to give what I have to this man, who was a Curtis Sliwa, white man. I want to give what I have to this man so he can keep doing the things that he's doing in the community. And that act that you were the man, Lamont, that act that you took, there was probably, I don't know, what do you think, 300 or 400 people in the room?
Oh yes, and we raised thousands of dollars, but I think if I was Paul Martinelli said whatever it is, I want him to leave. Was it 50,000, 100,000?
Yeah.
It was a significant moment to me because I didn't see color. I seen a man that had a passion to help communities, and to really I think he has a wonderful gift in the challenges he was sharing. And you would think that he was very fearless, but he had a fear. He was very challenged. He didn't like asking people for money. And that really resonated for me. I was like, wow, this guy is helping people who are dealing with you guys. You don't know who this man is. Do a little research on Curtis, and you'll be fascinated what he has done over the years. But his fear was raising money. And I just wanted to be an encouragement to him. And Gary was in that room, and it was just a moment that it kind of frightened me because I didn't know how it was going to be received. But I just wanted to be a blessing to Curtis. And that's how I live my life. Whenever I interact with someone, I just want to be a blessing. I can't change how someone thinks about me. It doesn't matter. But when they leave me, I want them to have an experience. Like, something's unique about this person. I always lived like that, Gary, just one day at a time. You can't change the world until you start with yourself and be a blessing towards others.
Oh, that's huge. I don't know if you're writing all these things down, Lamont, all these thoughts that you have, but you could really do a workshop on how we could really make a difference in our communities. And because you just hit a big one right there. You said it's got to start with ourselves. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you this. I had some thoughts the other day that I wrote down, Lamont, and these are the thoughts, and it's really what makes up the vision behind this conversation and more conversations that we'll have. And that is that unity is forged through empathy. It's made alive through love. It is seen in service to others. And it begins with the leaders and the influencers. I'd just like to know what your perspective is on what I just shared.
Well, that's first of all, it's very impactful and very powerful. And if someone just broke down everything you said, it will make a transitional difference in their lives. What that means to me is if we just have unconditional love for ourselves and for others, this world is a better place. A lot of times we only see things from our islands, but when we take our glasses off and really look at and pierce the heart and minds of people and really see within their soul, you will see, the aches and pains and the hopes and, and the visions that people have. But until we could connect on that level by looking another human being in the eye and letting them know that there's nothing but love that I have for them, when someone feels that you have genuine love for them, they will let you in. And once they let you in, it's our job to make sure we just hold that moment and show great empathy so that we could be there for them.
Man, that is great, Lamont. We have got to spend more time together. You know, we talk by phone, and it's really good to see you in this way, but I've got to come out there. You've got to come out here. You know, we'll meet in the Midwest or something.
I love it, Gary. When I first met you, I knew it was something. You was just a genuine man, and sometimes when we meet a great person, you don't need to talk to all the time. When you do talk to them, you just pick up where you left off, and you and I always pick up where we left off. I always say we're going to connect on a whole nother level at some point. So I'm glad you reached out to me to make me a part of this wonderful event.
Yeah, I want to close with this question. Lamont, if you were gonna speak to the viewers, if you were gonna speak to your state, our country, and say, this is what we need to bring unity into our communities, what would you say?
I'll say start with yourself. You know, Michael Jackson said, it's the man in the mirror. You have to look at yourself and reflect. If you know there's something that's not right in you, if you know you don't have love, but you have hatred in your heart, be honest with yourself first and make a change, because change is necessary and it's a reality that we all must go through. But start with yourself. Then reach out to your family. Make sure the people that you're raising, if you have children, or if you're married, you have a spouse or husband, make sure that it starts there, that you're loving and reflecting what you want the world to see. I believe, Gary, if we truly start internally, we could really make a difference in a major way, because we were born to be game changers. I truly believe God made each and every one of us out of love. So we were made out of love, then we can express love.
Yeah, that's good, Lamont. Man, I tell you what, Lamont, I appreciate you coming on, and for all of you who are watching, there's going to be more conversations like this. Lamont and I challenge you to get in your own conversations and take this advice that Lamont just gave us and go make a difference in your community. Lamont, stay on. I'll get us closed out, and you and I'll circle up on the tail end. Thank care, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you would like to know how you can have your own unifying conversations, or if you would like to contact us for more information about high definition coaching, we can be contacted at Gary@highdefinitioncoaching.com, Gary@highdefinitioncoaching.com. I hope you have a unified day, and we'll see you next time.